Ladies and gentlemen, well, that's unique. Test, 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 test. Do you hear it?
Yes. What does I do?
Do you hear it on a speaker out here?
No, I can't hear anything. There's no speaker. I need headphones.
Test, 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 test.
Try it again.
Testing, testing.
Try that. The phantom mic power was still plugged in.
Oh, okay.
So that was probably over-modulating the bejesus out of it.
Okay.
Is that better?
Well, I can hear me. That's for sure. Okay, folks, this is going to be ever the very interesting show tonight on any number of levels. And the reason I say that is because my computer is gone. And I was having issues with the computer earlier today. I'm having issues with the computer just before I started to go on the air. So I apologize. There will be no second hour of the show, but that will not stop us from speaking to ERIC RIGARD. So this is my 5th interview with ERIC RIGARD. And he is here tonight in the studio and opposite me live. Like I say, for the 5th time here in the studio. A gentleman who is the Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9. And we last spoke on September 8th. So welcome back, ERIC RIGARD. And we have 14 days left before the election.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're getting awfully close, but you know, now is the time when everything is going to be decided, when the difference is actually being made.
This is not just, as folks realize, it's not just a presidential election. There are any number of positions open in politics all throughout the United States. So a number of assembly districts are up right now, and yours is up. Your competitor is Jim Cooper.
Yes.
And he has been in there how long? For how many terms do you happen to know? At least 2,
He's
3?
been there for 3 terms.
3 terms.
This would be his 4th.
Okay. The 9th Assembly District is a really unique district because I broadcast, as I indicate, behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles east of the capital. And it literally is 2 miles east of the capital, as you well know, having sat here in the studio before.
Yeah.
Your district, and this is Sacramento, the capital of California, your district encompasses the city of Sacramento. I think it's a third, about a third of the city of Sacramento, and its southern suburbs, to include Elk Grove, Florin, the Florin area, Galt, the Parkway area, then south towards Stockton, which is in San Joaquin County.
Right.
And it includes the city of Lodi as well.
Correct.
So yours is a big district encompassing not just one city, but a myriad of areas. And I made mention of this before, and I'm going to have to look at the stats for this. Its demographics are really, really wide and diverse. It's 34.4% white, 12.7% black, 26% Latino, 22% Asian, 0.85% Native American, 1.45% Hawaiian Pacific Islander, and 0.27% other, whomever that would be. Politically speaking, District 9 is also, and it should not be a shock, about 46% Democrat, about 26, almost 27% Republican, and 22% no party preference.
Correct.
Which I find is kind of interesting. We have spoken before on 4 prior occasions. And what I'd like to do tonight is discuss your platform, perhaps some things that you weren't able to discuss on prior shows, and then kind of wrap things up, if you will, with an examination of the propositions. There are 12 propositions on the ballot. Mostly in California, you would be safe if you say, you know what? No on everything. Because it's California. But this time around, though, I think there are 2 propositions, and I'd like to discuss each one.
Sure.
But there are 2 propositions that I think are critical for Californians that, in my opinion, and I'm curious about yours as well, I believe that if you're a conservative or a Republican, you ought to be voting yes on these.
Yes.
So it's your ERIC RIGARD, Republican candidate for California Assembly District 9. It's your first day in the California Assembly and your first week, and you're getting your feet wet. You're getting to know how things work and run in the Assembly. But somewhere in the back of your mind, I would guess there's some kind of a priority for your constituents, because my guess would be that you've spoken to many of them. We'll get to what they say in just a minute. But my guess is you've spoken to many of them. So having done that, what do you think maybe job 1 would be for you sitting in the California Assembly?
You know, I think that the first thing is really to begin to open the state back up, to get the schools opened back up.
Okay, from the pandemic, from the coronavirus?
From the pandemic, and not really just from the pandemic, but from the dictatorial way that the governor has put down edicts to shut everything up, to close it down. He's got this three-tiered, color-coded system to move forward now. And basically, if there are 2 there are like 2 incidents, 2 COVID incidents, you can't move to the next level. It's crazy, you know, and it's all from something that's he's thought up or he's gotten super sensitive about doing, and it is very, very dictatorial. And the one thing that really fries me is they say that they're about the science and they're about looking at the numbers and they're about, you know, what's going on. Well, the numbers say that school-age kids from 0 through 19, that would take care of for kindergarten through high schoolers, okay? They have not a success rate, but they have a recovery rate from COVID of 99.97%. So 0.003% of the people really get affected by COVID and something happens with them. Not that they've died, because these are kids. They typically get better, okay? But that 99.97%. I don't think that you can get odds like that for cancer patients, for any other disease that's out there. But yet we've got them on lockdown. They can't go to school because of that. That's crazy.
It's really funny that you should mention that, because tonight in my entire second hour, I was going to go over new information revealed about the various lockdowns. The World Health Organization has just come out and said its advocacy now is do not lock down.
Yes.
Remove your lockdowns.
Yes.
And let people go. Let people, if you still want to consider masks, etc., fine, go ahead and do that. But people do not thrive in that kind of an environment.
No.
The statistic also that I found in the process of doing that show, which unfortunately I won't be able to do tonight because the computer's...
Well, we're going to get some of it in here. So.
But we are going to get some of it in here because there are, like you mentioned, there are various COVID survival rates.
Yeah.
If you're 0 to 19 years old, and this is from the CDC, you have a, as you mentioned, you have a 99.997% chance of survival. If you're 20 to 49, you have a 99.98% chance of survival. 50 to 69 years old, you have a 99.5% of survival. 70 plus, depending upon whatever comorbidities there may be, 94.6, almost 95% chance of survival. 50+% of the people that died of COVID-19 in the state of New York did so in nursing homes, in nursing facilities. The governor decided that he was going to introduce hot COVID-19 patients into nursing homes.
Exactly.
One of the greatest, most egregious errors that I can think of in the history of either New York or pandemics. Conversely, statistics indicate that all across the United States, 40 to 45% of the people who have passed away are older and or they were in nursing facilities. This is eminently survivable.
Yes.
Out of 7, this is a statistic that I just found in the process of doing what I was going to do tonight about my show. Mm-hmm. 77,000 college students across the land have acquired COVID-19. They've all survived. Three have died.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the entire United States.
In the entire U.S. That's
so
the thing that gets me.
This is... I was going to go on with a litany of individuals, the CDC, the World Health Organization, and other health experts who are saying, stop with the lockdowns. It's the definition of madness, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting some kind of a different result.
Exactly.
Gavin Newsom is mad.
I would agree with you 100%. I will give you just two more statistics. In Elk Grove, in the city of Elk Grove, 180,000 people roughly.
Okay.
2 people in March of this year had died from what they say was COVID. And then it was about a week later, it was 3. And then about a month later, they moved it back down to 2 because that third had died and had COVID, but didn't die of COVID.
Boy, do you make a huge differentiation that I was going to get to, but you just went there right now.
Yeah.
There is a massive difference between dying of COVID-19
Yes.
as opposed to with
Yes.
COVID-19.
Yes.
The other thing that I should care to emphasize to everybody listening tonight, and I'm sure you are already aware of this, all of these are portrayed to people who are consumers of media as cases. The cases, they say, are exploding.
Yes.
But they're not taking it to the logical conclusion, which is, how is this affecting hospitalizations? And what are our deaths looking like? In the United States, our deaths are trending down while our cases are going up. One easily logical explanation is that we're testing more.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've got a city of 176,000 people on lockdown because you've had 2 deaths, okay? There are many small businesses, and this is my second point, many small businesses in Elk Grove that should have a right to be opened right now, and the people that own those businesses can do a better job of taking care of the customers that come in than they can at Walmart, at Raley's, at Safeway, at wherever they're going right now. They can do a better job of policing and taking care of the people that they have, but yet they cannot do business because they're on lockdown. That's unconscionable to me.
It is absolutely. To me, ERIC RIGARD, and folks, I'm talking to ERIC RIGARD, who is the Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9 tonight. This is government choosing again. Yes. Winners and losers.
Exactly.
We know that in San Francisco, for example, there were private gyms that were told they had to close. Gyms, however, that are within city of San Francisco properties, they don't have to close. Winners and losers. You can walk into Walmart. Mm-hmm. You can walk into a Costco. But you can't walk into your local businesses in Elk Grove or Lodi or South Sacramento. These are small businesses, many of them family-owned. You're killing them.
Correct. And the fallback is that they say they have public health directors on a county level. So it has to be for the whole county and not for a municipality. Well, that falls flat on its face, especially in the example of Elk Grove with those 2 deaths that have. That's crazy. One other thing that I noticed about COVID-19 and the explosion of cases and whatnot, we're testing 1 million people a day now. So I mean, you're going to have more cases, that's going to happen. But what they did find, 85% of the new cases are from people who have worn a mask religiously. 85% of them.
That's another point that I was going to go to later tonight, and you're absolutely correct. I want to give you this quote from Gavin Newsom, since we were talking about this lovely individual.
Yes.
The CDC guidelines came out. Now the World Health Organization guidelines are out. This is a direct quote from Governor Newsom. I don't agree with the new CDC guidance, period, full stop. It's not the policy in the state of California. We're influenced by those who are experts in the field who feel very differently. Why? Gavin Newsom, why?
That's it.
It was odd that when the World Health Organization recommended lockdowns and the CDC recommended lockdowns, you were in perfect acceptance with that. Now you're not. What has changed? I can only submit ERIC RIGARD politics.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And unfortunately, I've said this for a number of months now. The governor has the ability to place an edict, to place an order out there that the population must follow for 60 days. On the 61st day, it must go to the legislature. They must pass it as law in order for it to continue to be enacted. That is why in Southern California, you've got a church, I think it's Grace Cathedral, John MacArthur's or someone like that. They've got 3,000 people that go to church there every Sunday. 3,000. He's been telling his people that the county health people are in there every Sunday because they do come to his services to keep an eye on everything. They never were able to to point him out for having people in his service. What's the one thing that they fined him for? For not having the proper signage on his window saying what you were supposed to do with your hands and covering, face coverings and stuff like that. So they fined him for that. He still had 3,000 people in there though, and he still had service. So it's just it's a bunch of junk is what it really is.
It is. It's a bunch of junk, and it's all political.
And it's totally political. So that would be the first thing that I'd want to address when I got there. And I mean, I know I'm just one little assemblyman from Elk Grove, but somebody's got to kick up some dirt and stir stir something up. So that would be one thing that I would start with.
There was also another interesting incident that occurred not long ago. Bob Iger, who is the CEO of Disney, and Disney, as everybody knows, in California has a big, big theme park down in Anaheim in California, and then they have Disney World over in Florida. Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, was sitting on Governor Newsom's economy recovery panel, and then he left.
Right.
And then no one knew why he left until Governor Newsom came out on October the 6th and said, oh, and by the way, theme parks will not be opening anytime soon. Bob Iger left the panel because for him, that means dismissing 28,000 employees in Southern California. Yep. This is real. This is here. This is in our face.
It's hurting people all over the place, and it is real. It's the same reason Elon Musk left California, okay? Because he can't do. He's an inventor. He's a creative mind. He's trying to do business, and he cannot do business in the state of California. That's so incredibly. That's incredulous to me. It makes no sense. As plentiful as people are here, as plentiful as talent is here, as plentiful as the workforce and everything else, that he cannot have a thriving business in the state of California makes absolutely no sense. And it's all political. It's all political.
It's completely political. It's funny you should, ERIC RIGARD. It's absolutely amusing that you should mention Elon Musk, because as I was going to go in my second hour, here's an article about Elon Musk who said, I'm not going to take the coronavirus vaccine. And then subsequently, he ended up calling Bill Gates a knucklehead, which I thought kind of interesting. He said, I'm not at risk, neither are my kids. So what's the purpose in making that kind of a decision? And then he said, Gates said something about me not knowing what I was doing. He said, hey, knucklehead, to Gates, we actually make the vaccine machines for CureVac, the company that you're invested in.
Right.
So none of this makes any sense. Now, if I can... So your first goal would be to essentially free California.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. And there's some people fighting right now. Kevin Kiley is an assemblyman who is up in the I think I want to say the 6th district. He's up in like Granite Bay, El Dorado Hills, right. Folsom, that area. And he's taking him to court. Oh, he goes to court tomorrow.
Kevin Kiley is also a prodigious writer.
Yes.
There are, I think, at least 20 to 30 lawsuits against Governor Gavin Newsom right now.
Yes.
Who is essentially running this state as the Stasi ran East Germany
it's his own
in the 50s.
Candy, yeah, it's own little candy store. He's doing whatever he wants to do. But he's being taken to court, and I really believe, I'm praying that it goes through well. The what's come forth thus far seems as though the judge is really leaning towards pointing his finger back at Gavin Newsom and telling him, no, you can't do that. So tomorrow we'll find out a whole lot. But I know that Kevin Kiley's been pushing against him like crazy and has been all year long. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of him. And I would love to be able to be in the legislature, to be able to partner with him on a lot of the things that he's doing, because I think that he's looking out for the people. And that's what government's got to be about. It's got to be about the people, about what their needs are. Who out here can tell me that their constituency is a child that wants to become transgender?
Oh my God, that is an open story for so many other instances, and unfortunately for another time. But that's the type of thing that they're spending time on in the legislature right now. That's like, what are you doing? They see race and sex, and for whatever reason, Democrats are unable to see anything else.
Exactly. And it's crazy.
That doesn't impact people economically.
It does not.
Financially. They want to know that they're going to be taken care of, that when they call law enforcement, they will respond. When they have an issue, someone will look after them. And ERIC RIGARD, that's what you want to be for the persons in District 9. So let us know. Tell us, if you would, ERIC RIGARD, the Republican candidate for California Assembly District 9. What's your platform? What are some of your priorities? Why vote for you, sir?
Okay, when I first started running, the three things that I was running on was affordable senior housing. There's a lot of senior housing, a lot of developments, especially in Elk Grove, that are being built, and that have been built. I know of one case. I'll take this one case and let you know. It's a senior facility. The landlord decided he wasn't going to raise the rent on any of his tenants. They've been good tenants. They've been paying on time. That's been going great.
Okay.
He was not going to raise the rent. About 3 or 4 months later, they all started getting 30, 40, 50 a month increases to their rent. So they went back. I had one woman call me, okay, and we did some research. And it found out that the state of California had given the builder of this building, and therefore passed it on to the owner of the property, a tax break. And a fee that they charge was increased. And that's where their increase in their rent came from. Had nothing to do with the landlord. Landlord wasn't hitting them with an increase. The state of California was hitting them with an increase. And these are people on fixed incomes and stuff like that. So what are they supposed to do? If you're either gonna squeeze them out of the area that they've lived in for a long time, or something's got to happen where they can function and live in the place where they grew up in. So affordable senior housing, I think, is huge. Seniors can get a discount for everything. They can get a discount to go to Denny's, to go to their grandkids' basketball game at a high school, wherever they go. To go to the movies when they open back up, they get a discount there as well. But they got to pay more for their housing. That doesn't make sense to me. So affordable senior housing was one. I started off calling it water management, because of the water being flushed out to the Pacific Ocean and stuff like that. But more recently, I've thought of this in a broader term as, say, resource management.
Resource management and infrastructure. You bet.
Yeah, we don't build power plants anymore. Since the forestry industry kind of died in California, we haven't taken care of the forest at all in California.
In at least 50 years. 5 decades, I know, because I live up in the mountains and I see it.
Nothing at all has been done, and they've got countries in Europe and other places that are totally forested. I mean, the city is surrounded by a forest, and they don't have the problems we've got. Something's wrong there. We don't take care of the forest. We don't take care of our water the way we should. We've got enough water coming from Tahoe, coming into the reservoirs and stuff. Probably need a couple more reservoirs, but
yes, we do. Oh boy,
we've got that set up, but yet we think we need to flush water out to the ocean because the delta smelt might die off, or some of them may die. You can do some things and put them in a different environment, or help to get some water through their environment. They can survive, but you can get some water to these farmers who need it as well, So those two, and then homelessness. Homelessness in the state of California is tragic. I come from Los Angeles. I know that on the streets downtown, there are homeless encampments where you find tents on the side of the streets downtown. Well, it's gone beyond that now. The median in the middle of the street have got tents going up the middle of the street. So everywhere you look, they've got homeless people that are there. The state seems to think that if we just buy some places, buy some hotels, and put them into some housing, that's going to solve it. It does not solve it. It is one element of that whole problem.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted issue.
Yeah, you've got to deal with the mental health is huge, and you got to deal with the mental health and get the mental health facilities and help so that they can. My uncle My uncle used to go to Camarillo State Hospital in Southern California. When he talked to his doctor and he was going to the hospital, he was the coolest guy you want to be around, great guy. When he was off his meds and he didn't go to the doctor, you would find him on a bus stop somewhere in Los Angeles. So those were the kind of things. Mental health just needs to be taken care of. And then thirdly, drug addiction.
Substance abuse. You
Substance
got it.
abuse is huge. And quite frankly, I think they need to have, you go to treatment or you go spend a few nights in jail. There's got to be something, but you can't hang out here and you can't spend your night out here on the street. You got to get up and go somewhere. As opposed to that, we've bought out hotels. We put people in there. We send in methadone. We send in needles for them to still shoot up. How is anything going to get better? Never going to get better by going that route.
And it doesn't. All it does is cause an exodus from the state of California. And as a matter of fact, from basically any leftist state these days. But we can only be concerned with California right now.
So those were the three things that I started working on, that I started with. And then I kind of developed my platform into three areas. One was personal responsibility. I think all of us have got a responsibility to add to the overall betterment of our society, how we interact with one another, how we talk to one another, how we solve problems. We've got to talk to each other. We can't just be polarized in two different spots and expect to get anything done. If we don't take our own prejudices, our own biases, our own things and drop them on the floor and talk to each other, we'll never come up with a solution. If we do, we'll be able to solve any problem in front of us. So personal responsibility, I think, is huge. Economic opportunity, and that would go from education on up. We need trade schools. We need the dollars to follow the child. They need to follow them whether they go to a public school, a charter school, a private school. They need that money needs to follow those kids instead of being funneled all into one type of education. Every kid just doesn't learn as much in the same environment. They learn better in different environments. So why not fund those environments and let them learn? We want to be a more educated population. That's the way to do it. So that would be a big one. And then the third one I think is government accountability, and a perfect thing to use is, say the police. I love the police and I want them to always come when I pick up the phone and call. Okay. And the very bulk of policemen that we have out there, I think are good guys, but in every occupation, you got some rotten people and you got some good people, and we need to get the rotten ones out of every walk of life that we possibly can. But should there be some police reform? Yeah. There are things that we could do better. First thing that goes out the window is training dollars when they start to squeeze the budget, on police.
Absolutely. So I was in law enforcement for 41 years, and I can guarantee that in times of fiscal crisis, the number one first thing cut is training.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. And my stepdad was a deputy sheriff in Los Angeles. I talked to him just about a week ago. He said, "You know what, Eric?" He said, "Really." He said, everybody talks about training, and training is one issue. He said, but they know when they come through the door, they know who's going to cut up and who's not. We need to do a better job of selecting the people that we're letting onto the force in the first place. So there are a few things that we could do better, but do we need to defund them, get rid of them, abolish them? No, absolutely not.
Well, you can see what's happening in Minneapolis. They said defund the police.
Exactly.
Now
they all want them back.
Park. Now they want the police back. Boy, who couldn't see that happening?
Exactly.
Boy, that was simply beyond me.
So those are the things that I'm running: personal responsibility, economic opportunity, and government accountability.
Folks, we're talking to ERIC RIGARD. He's the Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9. The phone line is open, although nothing else is working in the studio except my microphones. Oddly enough, my telephone is still working, and I can Bluetooth that baby right through the board. So, if anybody is interested in calling, The number is 575-208-4481. Now, if you happen to be in chat, or if you're interested in being in the chat room at shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com, there's a chat room there, and you can also listen to the show. So I'm going to put in the chat room so people can see it and call if they wish. The number is 575-208-4481. So, ERIC RIGARD, Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9, you mentioned a number of things that you wanted to do. And, well, let me back up here a little bit. We've got about 25 minutes left, and I think this is enough to... Oh, okay. Hang on. We have somebody on the phone, do we? Oh, shoot. Caller, call again, because for whatever reason, this thing hung up. So, caller, whoever you are, call back, and we'll make sure that you're on the air. In any event, in a moment or two, what I'd like to do is go through the propositions.
Sure.
And when I promoted the show, what I said was essentially, folks, if you are a conservative or a Republican, there are 12 propositions that are on the ballot right now. And if you want to hear, now, son of a gun, this thing is not letting me get on the phone. Okay. Technology is killing me tonight, Eric. It's killing me. There are 12 propositions. All right. Let me see if I can get this one. Okay. Caller, I think I have got you. Are you there?
I am.
Okay, caller, go ahead. You're talking to ERIC RIGARD. He's the Republican candidate for California Assembly.
Hi, BZ, and thank you for bringing him back, because I think you interviewed him briefly once before.
Oh, you have called before.
So,
I know.
I think so. Mr. RIGARD,
Yes.
I have some concerns. I live in Sacramento, and I actually live in your district, and I am going to vote for you. And I have some concerns about what's going on in the correctional system in terms of, they're releasing so many of them. I mean, it's almost like Mussolini, which is what I call him, Governor Mussolini. It's almost like he's trying to create chaos. You know, it's kind of what I've seen kind of nationwide in some of the liberal states, and it's like what he's trying to do here by, no bail, releasing criminals, allowing the prisoners to self-identify their gender so they can be wherever they want to be, which just creates more chaos for the correctional officers.
Correct.
And I'm concerned about that. I don't kind of what's your... I kind of heard your position briefly on law enforcement and how you want to, we all, when we call 911, hope someone picks up and answers and sends someone out other than a social worker, right? Someone who could actually help solve a problem.
True.
So what are your feelings on the correctional system and where they were pushing prisoners into local jails, that whole thing? Do you have any feelings on that?
Yeah, I have. I've got a family member who... he should remain nameless, that works for corrections. And he is kind of flabbergasted by the way they're going about, releasing people and things like that. The one thing that really concerns me is that they're supposed to all be low-level offenders sort of thing that they're letting go. They're letting go everybody, okay? And that's it's unverified. It's verifiable, the fact that there are people getting out that probably should be let out, but there are others that are being let out who got no reason to see the daylight again. So I think the indiscriminate way by which they're letting people out really has got to be looked at, has got to be refined. You just can't do it for population state or because of COVID or whatever. You've got to be a little bit more judicious about why you're letting someone out early and the whole deal. So I think it really needs to be looked at. It really needs to be looked at, and it needs to be administered so much better than it is right now. That's my main concern. I think, it probably, for some people, probably works well. For others, I just don't buy it.
Well, I think that if someone, is a very low-level crime and has a support system, which means they have a job ready for them or they have a place to live, so they're not going to be homeless and, reoffend. Because
Correct.
if you've got no bail, all you're doing is creating the circle of pain for
Correct.
the rest of the public. Correct.
I know that one gentleman that I am aware of, I've made aware of his case, he was able to get out. And he went through a process. I guess they had to be in quarantine for a certain period of time before they can be let out. So he's in quarantine. The last day of his quarantine, they told him, "Oh, nope, you're not getting out. We're going to keep you a little while longer." And he came up again to be let out. Went through the same process on the last day. They said, "Oh, nope, you're not getting out. You're going to go back home." I do know that they went to his parents' home, that they made him change a couple things on their phone, like they couldn't have call waiting and things like that on there. They were very strict when they did the home visit, so from that standpoint, they made sure things were lined up properly so that he wouldn't have access to certain things where he'd have a little bit more freedom than they wanted him to have. So I think that was done well. But I'm seeing so many cases where it's not really done that well. And this was a federal case. This was a federal prison that he was being released from. So I think they may have taken much more care with him, whereas in the state system, I'm not sure that they're being as judicious about the people that they release.
Well, and all the money that was spent on the trial and then the victims, how insulting to the victims and to the police officers and the detectives and the DA and everybody that worked so hard to have that person serve their time. Then they don't serve their time. Then they come out and they reoffend and hurt more people. It's just so doesn't make sense. I mean, before you know it, dogs are going to be marrying cats. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if it's, recidivism is one thing. If you're actually rehabilitating someone when they're in there and they're able to make some strides, then you can have a little compassion. You say, okay, I see where you've been doing great, and you've got this opportunity, make the most of it. But just to willy-nilly, just select people, oh, your number came up, so you're getting out today. No, I've got no time for that.
Well, I hope you get in, and I hope you form a junta, if you will, a group of like-minded people who want to bring some sense back to California, because Newsom's trying to continue this. I think he's keeping it chaotic so he can kind of keep being ruled by fiat, and in trying to get federal money, and it's embarrassing to see it from California. It really is. And the thing that Beasley was talking about for Disneyland, for the 28,000 employees that all got let go, Newsom said this week that certain smaller amusement parks will be able to open.
Right.
It's like really, you're crazy.
It's a matter. It doesn't even work. Yeah, it's a matter of you picking and choosing who you want to win, who you want to reward, who you want to succeed. So it's wretched. The whole system is wretched.
Or COVID is one super smart virus, because if you go to a small amusement park, you're not going to get it.
That's
if
it.
You go to a big amusement park, right?
That's it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I support your work and your cause, and pray for you to win, because we need smart people representing us.
Thank you. I certainly intend. I've already spoken to some of the people that I would like to team up with when I get there. With the Shannon Groves, the Kevin Kileys, the Maria Melendez, and there are a few others that are in there that are doing a good job. And I've already started reaching out to them to learn a little bit more about what's happening, how it happens within the the legislature. So I'm getting a decent education right now, so I should be able to hit the ground running.
I hope that you're also able to talk to Jim Patterson out of Fresno.
Yes.
Because this whole bullet train thing, I mean, that's a Feinstein, Pelosi, Mussolini game that they're running.
Yep. It definitely is.
It's a scam. Any other questions, Simone?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, and you voted for ERIC, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, if I could vote twice, I'm hoping I get a second ballot, so I could. Because they wouldn't send me two unless they wanted me to vote twice, right?
That's it. But I appreciate your one vote. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate you doing that.
Well, thank you, sir. And thank you, BZ, for bringing ERIC back.
Well, you're very, very welcome. Folks, and again, if anybody else wants to call, thanks. Appreciate it. You can call 575-208-4481. 575-208-4481. There are 12 propositions on the ballot. I'd like to go over those. We got about 15 or 20 minutes left.
You can knock them out.
And the other thing that we were speaking about earlier before we began the show, as tumultuous as it was, people are talking to you, and you're speaking to folks one-on-one, and they have things to say about the current occupant of the seat in the California Assembly. Something similar to, we're not really sure he's involved all that much. What are people tending to tell you, ERIC RIGARD, about your opponent, the incumbent Jim Cooper?
I've had a variety of different people I've talked to. Some have been, as diverse as my district is, I've been talking to people just that diverse, whether they be Black, Asian, Hispanic, Caucasian, whatever they happen to be, older, younger, just a variety of different people and a variety of different answers. All of them, though, have been, one common theme was that we thought that he was going to govern one way. And once he's gotten in there, he's beginning to govern a far left of where he said that he was going to be. And to a person, they say that I did vote for him. These were Republicans, Democrats, everybody early on. They said there's no way that I can vote for him now because he's either lost his way or he's lost interest in being a public servant. The whole thing about service, for me, this is a public service job. You are a legislature for a certain district, and you are supposed to look out for the needs of the people in that district. And if they cannot depend on you to either take a vote or to not take a vote or to stand up for what their needs are, what would impact their families and their lives, then you are no good to anybody there. And I think that's basically the thing that a lot of these people are expressing to me, that they find out that he has been unresponsive, ineffective, dealing with things that he doesn't have any business really dealing with, and they have just lost hope in him ever getting what they need to have done.
ERIC RIGARD, who is the Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9. The other thing that's occurred, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that on any number of occasions, Jim Cooper has simply not showed up.
Yeah. There's about almost 30, on average, I've taken a look at year by year. Some years have been higher, some years have been lower, but on average, about 30% of the votes are abstained from voting, no votes, basically. He didn't give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. He just abstained from voting. That is one of your primary
That's your job.
Duties there. You are to bring legislation to the floor, and then you are to vote on the legislation that's on the floor. That's your job. Okay? And for you to abstain from that 30% of the time, so you should get paid 2/3 of what you're supposed to get paid.
2/3 of your salary because you're doing 2/3 of your job.
Exactly. So I just find that bothers me a lot. You know, if I'm there, I've got to say yay or nay, one or the other. The only reason somebody wouldn't is because they're trying to hide behind not taking a vote, not taking a stance, or they just don't care. One of those two answers has got to be it. And neither one of those is satisfactory.
No, especially when you're paying money for people.
Exactly.
And if it's like Vince Lombardi said, football is blocking and tackling. It's the basics.
Yep.
Folks, if you're a politician and you can't even perform your basics,
that's it.
It's expected that you vote when it comes up, and if you can't even do that, then what can you do
right
as a politician?
Right.
We got about 10 minutes.
All righty.
Let's go through some propositions.
Let's do it.
There are 12 of them. The first one is Proposition 14, and this is for all the people that happen to be in California. And I put some promos on a lot of local California groups in Facebook, and I'm hoping that some of those people may be listening right now. The first one is Proposition 14. And essentially what Proposition 14 does is it's asking for stem cell research.
Correct.
It says, well, let's go back. Historically, in 2004, California's voters spent $3 billion on stem cell research in 2004. That came through in a proposition, or about $250, $260 for every family in California. So a report came out that said that $2.1 billion went to beneficiaries with links to the board that doles out the money. That money is all but spent. Now in Proposition 14, they want you to spend more money in 2020 that was pissed away essentially from a proposition in 2004.
Yeah.
ERIC RIGARD, I know your answer. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Okay. Proposition 15. This is a squeaky, greasy proposition.
Yes.
That to me, because I've been a longtime California resident, harkens back to Proposition 13.
Yes.
Proposition 13, quite a number of years ago, kept property taxes low and essentially locked them so that property taxes did not skyrocket.
Right.
Well, because property taxes are an obvious big pocket with lots of money into which Democrats would like to dip, that's back again in Proposition 15. But the way they're going about it now in 15 is different. What they're trying to do is attack this from small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying is, well, small businesses, or big businesses, you've got money, otherwise you wouldn't be in business. Let's tap you. Well, essentially, folks, you pay business taxes, each and every one of you. And the dealio is this: if you let the Democrat nose in the tent with Proposition 15, because some people may say, well, who cares if business taxes go up? Guess who's next?
That's it. And it's called a split roll tax for that reason, because they're trying to split the baby and get you to vote for one to make it easier to pass the next one. It's a taxation period in this state, from my perspective, all of them are going to be no's.
You got enough.
Because they've got to find a better way to spend the money that they have now, to make it do what it's supposed to do, okay, as opposed to always looking to us for some more money to take care of something. Time out for taxation, no on 15.
No on 15, absolutely agreed. Proposition 16. So it's about judging people by the color of their skin and not by the content of their character, essentially. Right. And I say no.
Yeah, Prop 15 is an affirmative action. Prop 16 is an affirmative action proposition. I say no, not because I don't want a diverse pool of people to choose from, but once it starts establishing quotas, then I'm totally against it. And one of the byproducts that ends up happening, especially within the black community, if they feel as though you got someplace because of affirmative action, you are already stigmatized. You might be the best person for the job, but they're going to look at you and you're going to be stigmatized. Oh, well, you got that because of.
Shortcut, etc.
That's it. So no on 16.
California voters passed Proposition 209 in 1996, which basically forbids state government from discriminating or giving preferential treatment on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin. And I have always said and will continue to say, no one is equal until everyone is equal.
That's it.
Proposition 16, no. Proposition 17. If there was any doubt whatsoever that Democrats have a contempt for the electorate, this is it. Proposition 17 gives felons the right to vote. They passed this in Virginia. Now the Democrats are focusing on you. Mm-hmm. I say no.
No.
Pretty simple. Proposition 18, high school voters.
No.
Now, you were, like me, I'm sure, ERIC RIGARD, one of the smartest individuals ever when you were in high school. Just ask the 18-year-old ERIC RIGARD, because you knew so much more then than you do now, and certainly much more than your parents.
Yeah, well, tell them that. But I had a 3.2 coming out of high school. I barely squeaked into UCLA at the time, which you can't even breathe around there with a 3.2 right now. But 17 years old, the difference between 17 and 18, I think, is tremendous. Okay. And I even see the difference between 18 and 19 or 20 is tremendous. But at least at 18, you have a sense of responsibility on you. You've graduated. You can serve in the military. You can get a driver's license, all those different things. But at 17, even your driver's license is provisional.
Yes.
Okay? You can't just go anywhere you want to do anything you want to do. Okay? It still has a little leash attached to it. So 17-year-olds voting, pre-register, do that, get ready. If you want to enter into the political arena, go ahead and get ready for it. But to actually have a vote, absolutely not.
Proposition 17, I think we can conclude, no.
No.
Basically what this is Democrats mining for votes.
Exactly.
It's mining.
Exactly.
Okay, Proposition 19. So, right now, parents can leave the family home to their family without some kind of a massive, crippling property tax hike. So, that exemption with Proposition 19 then would end. And so if you have, and particularly when, let's say, your children or younger kids are having trouble in this economy, this COVID-19 economy, and they need some place to live, or right. For whatever reason, you own the house, you're ready to give it to your kids, that should be your decision.
Correct.
That should be your ability to pass something on without another massive level of taxes.
Yeah, there's no need for that bureaucracy, and it's one decision that you as a parent should at least be entrusted to make on your own without the state being involved. So I give that one a definite no.
It's kind of like a fire sale. So guaranteed more homes are going to be lost in a fire sale than they would in wildfires all up and down California. So you and I agree, Proposition 19, no.
No.
Okay. So, this is an interesting proposition, the next, Proposition 20. This measure attempts to reconcile and repair some of the incredibly egregious stuff. I had to mellow my word. I had to be very careful that Jerry Brown started under his administration. Prop 147, Prop 157. Mm-hmm. I could go on for days about those things. But essentially, Proposition 20 would bring some common sense to criminal rules, etc. It would increase penalties. We were just talking about this. Simone, who called in, was just talking about this.
Right.
It would increase penalties for major theft and fraud crimes that Brown reduced to misdemeanors. It requires convicts, great idea, to submit their DNA for state and federal databases, and it restores the ability of parole boards to keep dangerous prisoners behind bars. Mm-hmm. Here's how I know I needed to say yes. Jerry Brown opposes it.
Well, I say yes also, and I say yes for one major, well, a couple of major reasons, but one is the fact that they want to utilize DNA in these cases so that they get the sample and they can tie it to that particular person, that particular crime. So they're not just guessing and pointing fingers and, oh yeah, you did this, so you go. No, they're trying to verify what was done and who did it and how it was done. So that extra level of verification, I think, goes a long way. It does not take away any of their rights to try to go back and go up the chain in the legal system and try to appeal your case and stuff like that. It does not take any of that away.
Exactly.
But it does add that extra protection to it. And I thought that was very good. I think it's called the Keep California Safe Act. And so that's definitely one that I'm for.
I would agree, yes, on Proposition 20, because DNA, for example, can limit your pool of potential suspects.
Yes.
But it can also verify that you're not a suspect as well. It can remove you from that pool of suspects. Correct. Another reason for that.
Correct.
So here's another one. Proposition 21. This occurred in New York and has been this way for quite some time. I'm not sure about San Francisco, whether they have this yet. Essentially, Proposition 21 is rent control. Mm-hmm. And just the first of that, my first thought was, no.
Right.
The Soviets had sort of a saying, what good is a bus ticket if you don't have any buses?
Right.
And so if you go for this in the not too terribly distant future, bing bango, you're not going to have much to rent because they're not going to build more apartments or more places for people to live.
I think it does two things. It reduces the available pool of rental units that are out there.
Yes.
So then rents are just going to increase, okay? And it takes away from the ability of someone who wants to become an investor and wants to go out and purchase a property, a rental property. It starts handcuffing them, you know. So who wants to spend that money to go out and buy a property? You know, you wouldn't want, from a landlord's perspective, you wouldn't want it. From a tenant's perspective up front in the short term, you think, yeah, that's beneficial. But what ends up happening long term is they don't have the pool of properties. They don't have the people buying properties to rent out. So your whole pool just dwindles. And now you can't find a place to rent. Yeah, because you've got that rent control in place.
Well, prices for property owners, managers, etc., all those things will always increase. Utilities will not be going down.
Yep.
Property taxes will not be going down. They're going to be going up. So you would essentially minimize the pool of people that would be interested in the future in building, managing, or become interested in rental properties at all. Boom. Okay. Proposition 21. We say no. Proposition 22. This is a hard-fought proposition. This is the other one that I believe you and I will probably be in concurrent thinking with, and I say yes. Yeah. What this does is it attempts to eliminate what is called in California AB5. And AB5 essentially eliminated the gig economy. And the gig economy is not just Uber, not just Lyft, as you and I discussed.
Yeah.
It's writers, it's people who are photographers, it's any journalists, it's any number of people who work a number of places and it mandated that each place that you worked give you big benefits, insurance, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Well, people like the gig economy because it gives them big freedom. Some people enjoy multitasking, working a couple of jobs at once. If so, wonderful. God bless you.
Yep. So yeah, I like the bill as well. I'm a yes on it. I think that it does. It helps it actually exposes AB5.
Yes.
All the carve-outs that have been in AB5.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes.
This bill exposes AB5 for what it actually was. So now when you look at AB5, it just needs to crumble. It cannot stand on its own because they've given everybody a carve-out. With writers, with freelance writers, they ended up giving a carve-out for that. It wasn't really well known, but Willie Brown was writing a blog. He was writing, and when he got up to, I forgot what the maximum number was, 176 or whatever number of blogs that you had, they cut him off. And he said, what the heck is going on? He ended up calling the governor, and that's how they got that carve-out done. This has been a bad bill from day one, and AB 22 passing, Prop 22 passing, I think will begin the demise of AB 5.
So you and I agree. A big yes.
Yes.
On Proposition 22. Yeah. Okay. Proposition 23. Maybe you can explain this one to me because I don't get it. This involves dialysis patients. My first thing is this is a no. I've seen a lot of the advertisements and whatnot.
Well, I'll give you a brief thing on mine. Is definitely a no, so I'll start off with that.
Okay,
I'm a no on this. They had AB 290, I think was the one that was out before, and that had passed. Thank goodness a judge gave a stay so that it could not go forward. It's all about getting the unions involved in dialysis clinics. And this one they tried to use and say there are not enough doctors at dialysis clinics. Well, there is not a doctor at a dialysis clinic, but every patient in that clinic has got its own doctor, and they rotate throughout the course of the month. So there is always a doctor in the building. Okay? There's always a doctor there. So with AB 290, the unions were trying to take over the actual clinics themselves. And one of the byproducts is a lot of people with kidney disease have got their supplemental health care being paid for by a third party. Maybe the American Kidney Fund, or there's some other benevolent group helps to pay for that. Their health care, their secondary health. They got Medicare, and they're getting this as a supplement.
Okay.
So, it was eradicating that, so the AKF wasn't able to pay for it. And since the judge gave a stay, then they were able to pay for it. This is just a second bite at it, trying to come back again. And it really is designed in their mind to improve dialysis, but it's going to end up really rationing services, cutting them down. And there are a lot of people that are going to suffer because.
And it's a benefit for the SEIU.
Oh, SEIU all day long.
It sounds like the SEIU kind of imposing price controls.
That's exactly what it is.
On dialysis.
Exactly what it is.
You know, some of these things, when you look upon them in retrospect, they are really heinous.
Yeah.
And you have to be very, very careful, folks, what you're voting for.
Right.
Okay, let's go to, let's see, 1, 2, 3 propositions left. No, 2 left. That was Proposition 23. We agreed. Correct. Dialysis, no, we don't like that one. Prop 24. So when you're in doubt, I've always said for years, vote no. Now, on this one, the California Consumer Privacy Law screwed up the internet and websites for everyone, not just in California, but across the nation and across the globe, folks. Anytime you see, and you go to a blog, Will you say okay to cookies? That's from California. You can thank California for having done that. So Prop 24 supposedly improves privacy, but the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a consumer privacy group, calls it a mixed bag of partial steps backwards and forwards. When in doubt, okay, if nothing else, this is what it would do. It would create a new regulatory bureaucracy. Stop with that crap. We got enough.
Yep. Every time they have an idea, there's always a new bureaucracy. So it's got to be funded some kind of way. So that money, they're coming to you, looking for you to give them that money so that they can then fund this new bureaucracy. Who knows what it does, but they're going to fund it.
Well, we may need a Hunter Biden on that board, too. Okay, here's the last one, Prop 25. Okay, maybe that was a little low. Maybe it wasn't. Prop 25, this is the last one, number 12. Basically, it's catch and release. It's what the state of California and all sorts of other states and cities have done purportedly under the guise of, well, we've got to do this because of COVID-19, and that is catch and release, no bail, let these people go, let my people free. When suspects are arrested, they're jailed until they post bail, and that makes sure that they show up for trial. Mm-hmm. So would it be a shock to anybody that a lot of these people don't really want to go? And in order to keep things fair, and if they can't make bail, they ought to just sit in the pokey for a while. So this would essentially bail. Who needs bail? This is an insane law. We're watching what it does with the protesters in Portland and Seattle. California wants it here. Proposition 25, catch and release. I suggest no.
No. It creates a revolving door. It creates a revolving door. As soon as somebody goes in, they get booked, they get checked in, they're right back out on the street. And who's going to want to go through the trouble of arresting somebody, getting them booked, and getting them in there for a crime they committed when they're going to come right back out? So now you are devaluing the work that the police do. So they're not going to want to do their job. You know, I think bail is a fair thing. Maybe we need to set it a little bit differently, and maybe there needs to be some adjustment, some refinement made to bail. Okay, do that, but always have cash bail there, so that somebody, you know, they got to put something up, and that ensures that they come back and they get in front of the court.
I know for a fact that in Sacramento, when this was occurring, a panel of judges sets bail.
Yes.
In the county of Sacramento, where we are right now. I trust those judges to set an appropriate bail. And if they change, okay, so be it. But we definitely need a bail schedule. It keeps things honest. It keeps people honest.
Keeps people honest. That's it.
So those are the propositions. And let me see if I can distill it down to you, because I was looking at, let's make this simple. Every proposition, no, except
20 and 22
and 22.
Exactly.
So I think we've nailed those. The propositions done.
All right.
So ERIC RIGARD, I know your time is actually, you're here for an hour and 15 minutes. How would you like to sum up your candidacy? And also, I asked you earlier, it's not too late to donate. So if people wish to donate or maybe even volunteer, how can they do that, sir?
You can go to RIGARD, RIGARD, FOR, assembly.com. There on that front page, there are four buttons, I think. One is to support, one is to endorse, and one is to donate. Okay? You hit that donate button, you can put your credit card or debit card information in there. Whatever you'd like to give, whatever gift you'd like to give will go straight to the bank. I won't see it other than something that'll pop up on my web page letting me know that you give it, and I send out a thank you to everybody who gives to the campaign. We are getting towards this last week, which I'd like to put out a little ad on a few radio stations, maybe TV. It'll help to get us there. So please go to Regard for Assembly. What I've changed my moniker, and it's this now. Go to my website. If you like what you see, then I would ask that you vote for me. It's that simple. If you like what you see there, I'd ask that you vote for me. And if you're so compelled, definitely give, definitely donate. I would greatly appreciate whatever gift you may be able to give.
And in the SHR Media chat room, folks put that in there, regardforassembly.com, regard, R-I-G-A-R-D, for assembly.com. 14 days. The first time I spoke to you, ERIC RIGARD, I said your job was like Sisyphus, pushing the boulder forever uphill, having it roll back down, having to pull it up and push it uphill in perpetuity. But since the first time I spoke to you, I believe that things are beginning to change.
Yeah.
It's national, and it's also beginning to affect people in traditionally Democrat or leftist type states, because people are getting tired of how they're being treated.
Yeah. You know, and I run as a Republican because I took a look at both platforms. I read them both. You know, and if you haven't read it, it'd be good to read. And the whole racial equality and affordability and things like that are in the Republican platform are things that spoke to me. I said, those are my values. That's what I believe in. So that's why I ran as a Republican. Running in this assembly district, though, I'm almost running as a nonpartisan. You know, I just believe that there are things that we can get done if we learn how to open our ears and hear one another, and then sit down and talk to one another. If we can do those two things, I think we can accomplish a great deal and get California back to where it can be considered the Golden State again. You know, get clear out the madness and the distraction that's going on now, and get back to business and make California great again.
When I first spoke to you, I have to be honest, ERIC RIGARD, I didn't think you had a chance in hell. But some of the things that you said at the time really resonated with me. Now it's October the 20th of 2020, and my thought in terms of your success is, I think we can see it. I think it can be done. I think it can be accomplished, despite the fact that this is California.
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen. Because if it happens with you, November 3rd, 14 days from now, if it happens with you and you are installed in District 9, the California Assembly, my guess would be we're going to see a lot of that up and down the state. And that will then, sir, become a trend.
Yes.
Proving it'll be breaking a gate and letting people know this isn't impossible anymore. This is doable. Yeah.
I've been told by a lot of people when I first got started, I said, well, you know, you're going up against a Goliath. You're going to, you know, and I just had, my mindset has always been that Goliath had to fall too. If I got to be David and I got to fling the slingshot and hit him in the head, then so be it. You know, if it's my turn to stand up and do that, then let me get up there and do it. But, you know, nothing is impossible.
Exactly.
Nothing is impossible. You know, especially for me, I rely on God quite a bit. So nothing is impossible with God. And I just keep pressing in there and pressing in and pressing in. And, you know, I don't even look at the impossibilities anymore. I only look at the possibilities. So it's coming.
I say this sort of in summary. Things have to change.
Yeah.
If for no other reason than what we're doing right now is clearly not working. And is completely unsustainable.
Yep.
ERIC RIGARD, this is the 5th time here.
Yes, sir.
Within 14 days, We're going to find out what happens on November 4th as opposed to the national elections and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My guess would be we'll know pretty darn soon whether you are in that seat or not. So let's say yes.
All right.
With that thought, though, I hope I haven't seen the last of you. I hope that you'll come back and talk to me and talk to the people here on the show and talk to your constituents and let us know what's going on with what's happening in the state capitol.
Not a problem. I plan on staying in contact with the people so much they're going to probably tell me stop sending all that stuff. But I plan on hearing them. I want to hear what the people have to say. I want to hear their heart, and from that, then I can formulate and make some good decisions and do some things that are going to benefit the people. So I definitely want to stay in touch with them, and I will definitely do that by staying in touch with you.
Thank you ever so kindly. Before you go, do you have any plans for where you're going to go in the future between now and Election Day?
Yes, I'm going to be, tomorrow I'll be in Lodi. I'll be in Lodi putting up a sign and actually passing out some flyers and stuff like that. Then I'm going to be, Thursday, I think I'm going to be back over off of Meadowview, over in the south area.
Okay.
Then we're going to hit Elk Grove. I've got this fundraiser Friday night in Elk Grove. And then next week, I'll be out every day really at this point, I'm not going door to door anymore, but I'm hitting every parking lot I can get to. I go out there and slap flyers on all the windows, so everybody's going to see it. They might get sick of it, but they're all going to see it. So, I'm just getting the word out.
Wouldn't it be amazing that for much less than, say, $100,000, you go in, you're voted in, and that makes an incredible statement that you've opened the door for a lot of people. You don't need $1 million. You just need to be a reasonable man or woman.
That's it. So that's my goal, and like I said, I'm just going to keep until the last day. I'm going to keep getting the word out there. So we'll be out there. We'll be somewhere close by. Everybody in this audience will be close to you.
ERIC RIGARD, Republican candidate for California Assembly in District 9. Thank you again for being here, sir. I don't have any outgoing music. I will say thank you for being here tonight. I'm BZ, the Bloviating Zeppelin. You were listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for calling. God bless you all. See you later.
All righty.